This is the Military and Aerospace Electronics Report. I'm John Keller. Well, you're probably as sick as I am of the continuing negotiations in Washington over how to reduce the nation's deep financial debt. Okay, so now we have an agreement to raise the debt ceiling. Well, many might hail this as the savior of our economy. It just looks to me like our country now can continue to spend more than it takes in and make up the difference by living on credit cards. It doesn't work for families, and I don't see it working for government, but I digress. One interesting part of these negotiations might leave many of us involved in the defense industry feeling more than a little anxious. It seems Congress and the President signed off on so-called automatic triggers that would mandate deep cuts in the Department of Defense budget if Congress and the administration this year can't find more ways to cut spending or raise taxes. Well, I'm not really all that worried about these threatened triggers and automatic defense cuts, and I'll tell you why. Now, embarrassing as it might be for me to admit, I've been covering the federal government now for more than 30 years. And I've seen more than my share of spending triggers, automatic budget cuts, and spending plans that range far into the future. The dirty little secret I found is these kinds of things are all fantasy. And the reporters covering Washington ought to know better than to report as fact what amounts to be just another political stage performance. Here's a fact I can lay on you. Congress acts in one-year cycles. I remember in previous years when those in the Pentagon practically begged Congress to enact two-year defense budgets in the interests of continuity and saving money on long-term purchases. The answer from Congress, nothing doing. They're not giving up any control. And this went on for so long that the Pentagon, I think, finally just gave up asking. And so it will be now. This Congress and future Congresses will operate year to year. Next year, they'll start with a clean slate and do whatever it is they want to do. Any lingering and bothersome commitments from previous years, well, they'll just overturn those with a voice vote late some evening after all the reporters have gone home. When Congress starts talking about anything other than the here and now, take it from me, it's just fantasy. I think what they're doing this time is trying to hold the defense budget hostage to wring out more tax hikes, more spending cuts, future debt ceiling changes, or maybe all of the above. Maybe this tactic will work, maybe it won't. But we all need to acknowledge that these alleged automatic spending cuts in the DoD budget are just empty threats. Congress will do what it's going to do in future years, and there's really no way for us to predict what that's going to be in any detail. So take heart, and don't be stampeded or even really worried by the latest political rhetoric coming out of Washington. The factors influencing future levels of defense spending will be far more substantial than the talk that's going on today. Maybe that's what we really should be worried about. For the Military and Aerospace Electronics Report,